Stephanie Watson, and I write children's books. And I teach writing, too, occasionally. I live in Minneapolis, and we are in my home right now.
With a sense of humor that kept me rolling on the floor, Stephanie Watson is the real deal. I know you will enjoy this chat with Stephanie as we talk about what it's like to be a mom author and how she and her daughter foster family reading in their home.
What is it like to be an author? What is it like? Have you ever had any other job besides being an author?
Yeah, I've had other jobs. I was a babysitter for, from the time I was like 12 until I was in my 20s. Okay. I was never in food service. I couldn't get a job as a waitress for some reason. You have to have a job as a waitress to get a job as a waitress.
That's helpful.
So I was a babysitter, and then I worked as an administrative assistant, like through Kelly Temps.
Okay.
And then I also started a business not long after I graduated from college of online copywriting for online things like websites and stuff. So I would do that for corporate clients.
So you did like business writing?
Kind of business writing. Okay. Like if you think of a corporation, every corporation has a website, so somebody writes those. That's me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a kind of writing that's very different from fiction writing. It's almost, you might as well just call them two separate things because they work very differently, but I still do that now to help pay the bills.
Okay.
But
is that still you have, the business still exists, or is it something different? Okay.
Yeah, I was just doing some work before you got here.
Oh, okay.
So being an author, I like being an author. I like, sharing my work with kids and like talking to them about my books. That's a lot of fun, and I love interacting with the other writers in the community. That's maybe the best part.
We have a great community.
Yeah, like getting a seat at the cool kids table, so to speak, and being able to call those people my peers is really cool. But I would say, being an author is different from being a writer.
Yes.
So, I like the reasons that I like being a writer are maybe more personal.
Okay,
it's like I like the practice of writing and kind of exploring ideas, and it's not easy all the time, but it's just something that I feel committed to doing, to kind of deepening my craft, and I never feel like an expert.
Is it a part of who you are, though? Like, this is who you are, not necessarily in your DNA, like some people say, but this is why the world needs you. 'Cause not everybody writes.
Yeah.
Is it a feeling kind of like that?
I don't think the world needs my writing. Not at all.
No, we do, because Behold a Baby, oh my word. I think it's one of my favorite picture books ever.
Well, thank you.
We first met Stephanie at our Father's Day event last summer when her newest picture book had just been released. We knew she was a gem when she rolled with the unknown punches all throughout that day.
But yeah, I don't think... I'm saying that kind of jokingly, but I do mean that. I don't think that the world would, it wouldn't really matter either way if I write, but it matters enormously to me.
Okay.
To my, to my enjoyment of life if I'm creating something. Okay. And I think that I could have been a different kind of creator. I could have been a painter and been happy. My first career ambition was to be a cake decorator. That's kind of painting with food, and just some sort of creative expression is really important to me, and like my mental health and all of that. So I think writing is just became the home for it. But I do a lot of other kinds of creative things, and it's all part of like that one big project of being expressive and creative and feeling connected to things.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's more for you, but it's also for the world.
Yeah, sharing it is part of it, but I'm not going to like fool myself and be like, the world can thank me for my contributions.
You're no Einstein. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's not, it feels like it's not my business so much what people think of it. Of course I want them to like it and stuff, but I'm making it, I'm going to offer it up, and
It's more for you.
It's kind of for
the
me.
writing is for you. Being an author is more for the world, probably.
Yeah, maybe.
The books are for the readers.
Yeah, and I love that people say they enjoy the books, and when I meet up with kids, I try to make the presentation. It's about me and my book, but it's also about, here's why this might matter to you. Like, do you want to be a creator? What are you interested in? I like kids to walk away with feeling that they've gained something aside from seeing a talk about, like, me, the fabulous author. Here's what I ate for breakfast. Like, that's not. I want it to be more generous than that.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
This is my Elvis and Olive.
I've heard of them. I don't think I've actually read them.
Yes, they're really good. No. So, okay, let's see. Elvis and Olive. Flash the covers.
We should get some pictures of these too.
Yeah.
I remember.
So this is the first one. Came out in 2008. The second one, 2010. The Wee Hours was a picture book that came out in 2012 or so.
I love the Wee Hours. It's just so
2013.
pretty. It's just like
Thank you.
The pictures obviously are pretty, but like it's just a pretty you'd want it, like, as you're going to sleep, you'd love to listen to it. I like that. I like that.
Thank you. And then Behold a Baby is the one that came out more recently.
And this is the one that I have talked about how it's such a perfect book for, like, talking to older siblings about being a big brother or big sister. So tell us about Elvis and Olive. Are these neighbors? Is that who they are?
Yeah, so it's about two girls who they meet each other one at the beginning of a summer. The scene where they meet is one of the girls, Natalie, is riding her bike around the block and trying to see how fast she can get around. And then suddenly this boy with no shirt on puts his hand out in front of her and says, "Stop, I need to tell you a secret." And then they start having this conversation, and Natalie discovers it's not a boy, it's a girl, and she mistook him for a boy, and then Annie, the one with no shirt on, gets kind of upset about that. Like, I'm a girl, and I wanna show you this secret. You have to come under my porch to see it. So their friendship has this kind of rocky start, and it's sort of like a lopsided tricycle riding along for the rest of their friendship, but they become really great friends. And they spy on their neighbors.
Okay.
That's how they kind of spend their time. They spy on their neighbors, which has, people don't really like being spied on, so that sort of blows up in their face, but they have a good time along the way. And then the next book is Elvis and Olive Super Detectives, and then they become detectives, which Natalie is like, isn't that kind of the same thing? We got into trouble spying on people, and Annie's like, hold on, no it's not, because spies peek through people's windows for kicks, and detectives investigate, on the up and up. They ring the doorbell, they ask questions, so they open this detective agency and solve some mysteries for their neighbors who they only recently, patched things up with after the whole spying incident.
So how does the name Elvis and Olive come up?
Well, those are their secret spy names.
Oh, okay.
Right. So
that's awesome.
Names that nobody would guess is kind of, and then they just end up calling each other that, even beyond the point where everything's been exposed. It's just their names for each other.
Okay, and so by the second book, the whole neighborhood kind of knows they call each other Elvis and Olive.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. It's like the cover has been blown, but it's like, well, those names stuck. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun writing them.
So, do you think you might continue possibly with those?
Probably not.
It was tied up pretty neatly at the end.
It could continue on, but I just have a lot of other projects that are pulling my attention more strongly. So
okay.
Who knows? The Mary Poppins books, I always look at those. You look at the publication dates. P.L. Travers.
Yeah, I'm reading one to my kids right now.
Oh, I love them so much. But sometimes there's just 10-year gap between books. So that's interesting to me. You could just kind of, if you felt so inclined, dip back into that series.
True.
So, hey, never say never, but for
For
now,
the
it just feels like, yeah, each book can kind of stand on its own, and it was left in a good place.
Okay. So, what are the quirks of each of them?
Writing, so both of those are middle grade novels. Those take longer for me, and it's just a bigger world. It's more details to manage, more threads that get tangled. So yeah, that's like a bigger mental puzzle, and it takes longer. And then, but it's nice to go into a world and you can kind of stretch your legs and spend time there.
Yeah, get to know it.
Right. Whereas a picture book, the challenge there is to, first of all, like figure out something to write about that could live within that amount of space.
Yeah, that's
32
true.
to 40 pages and maybe 500 to 800 words. And then it's just like paring it down to the essential. And that, like, every word, not that every word doesn't matter in a novel, but you just want to, it's like a poem. Every word needs to really serve its purpose and shine. So I do more drafts of a picture book. I probably do like 20 or 30 drafts of a picture book, and maybe like each of these books was 9 full drafts. Wow. And this book was like, I kept rewriting the first draft. So I did 5 unique first drafts of this book. And then after I got the 5th draft, then I did 9 revisions of that.
So like 14.
I don't even know. I mean, it's insane. Obviously, I was counting.
I've been told this like 2 or 3 times, I think. Is Megan in your critique? Megan Maynor?
Megan, so there's a picture book critique group that I'm in. Megan Maynor, Charlotte Sullivan Wild.
Molly Beth?
No, Nina.
Oh, yeah. The illustrator.
Yep. And then the Shaskins.
Oh, yes.
And me. I am also in my critique group.
That's helpful.
Yeah. Sarah Warren is an author in town. She does picture books. She's also working on a middle grade, or maybe it's a YA. And she's kind of like a critique partner.
What was the feeling like when you first got we want to publish your book letter or email or whatever it was?
It was really exciting.
Yeah. Scholastic is huge. Like, these go to kids in schools all over the country.
It was really exciting. Well, and writing can be lonely, and you don't know how it's going to turn out in terms of the publishing part. So it's, of course, it feels really good that moment when you're like accepted and oh yay, this is not just going to be something that lives in my head and my computer anymore. Yeah, it's going to be out in a bigger way.
What did you do to celebrate the first one?
I remember my editor, Carol LaRose, sent me some flowers. She sent me some daisies, which was really cool, and I think I went to the gym.
Did you?
Yeah, I just remember like, I'm going to the gym now, and the book's coming out. Yeah, I still did my day.
Yeah.
But it was very cool, and there's certain moments along the way. I would say that moment when your book gets taken on by a publisher is maybe even more exciting than like the publication day, because by then it's like you're kind of used to this book. You've lived with it for a little while as a real book.
Right.
So everybody else is having that like, oh wow, it's finally here, and you're kind of like, yeah, that old thing. Anyway, and also because the publishing, like the timeline is so long, the pipeline is so long, by the time it comes out, you're maybe like 2 projects further on.
And your brain is completely in a different place.
Yeah, and your heart. Like now your heart's thrown into some other work. We read a lot. So I'll back up and say that when she was born, I've always been a single parent. Okay. I'm a sole parent. SOLE.
Yeah, well, I was
So like figuring out how to do a whole day with a baby was sometimes challenging. So when she was very young, she would wake up at like 5:45. Let's say she's 3 months old. Mm-hmm. She'd be up, ready for the day. So we would spend that like hour and a half when I was incapable of getting vertical, but she was awake, looking at books in bed. So ever since she was a tiny baby, I would turn the pages. She would just look. The visual.
Were you reading or just turning pages?
I was reading, or pointing out, look,
Okay,
and babies that young are just sort of something that engaged her that we could do horizontally.
Yes, and together.
And together. She got older, and before she was talking, then she did the thing babies do. They slap the page to the left. So she was already kind of engaging with books, and then she always, as she got older, she would bring me books, and we'd look at them.
Okay.
And we still, so since then until now, she's 5.5. I read to her. She's on my lap. Mm-hmm. We read tons of books, and then like about a year and a half ago, again back to the single parent mm-hmm. thing. It's like, when am I going to get a chance to make dinner? So I discovered this really great thing, which was that I would get a huge stack of books from the library. Picture books, but also graphic novels for young readers.
With lots of pictures.
Tons of pages and tons of like tiny pictures that you can study mm-hmm. and do the visual literacy thing where you're just getting the story from the pictures. So she would spend like an hour poring over those, being very quiet in a way that she never would in any other mm-hmm. time of her life.
Right.
She's very like, as an only child, she's very like attached to me and mm-hmm. like, Mama, do this with me, help mm-hmm. me with this. So, ever since we discovered that, like, she really loves graphic novels and reading on her own in that way. And sometimes I'd even be like, you want me to read that to you? And she's like, no, I got this. Like, so she couldn't read the words, but she's happy. She's satisfied with what she's getting from mm-hmm. those pictures. And then all this time we're still reading, mm-hmm. Like picture books on the lap. And then, started reading chapter books like Charlotte's Web before mm-hmm. we went to see the play at the Children's Theater.
Is that 3 years ago?
So she was 3. That was our first chapter book, and it was kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Because she would be like, "Where's the picture?"
And you're like reading as fast as you can to get to the next picture.
Yeah, I would feel like anxiety. Her little hands starting to like pull the page over to peek. And now, as a kindergartner, this year has been a huge jump where now she's starting to read on her own.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of exciting.
It's really exciting, and she's excited about it. And it was like just last Friday, I think, she was looking at Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Mm-hmm. We've always loved. I was a fan of those books before she was born. Yeah. So they're just around because they were mine. Right. And she said to me, she was like, "Oh my gosh, Mama, I'm reading in my mind." So before, I think she had to read the words and hear them, and then mm-hmm. that's when they would have meaning, when mm-hmm. they like hit her ear. Yeah. I don't know if that's true, but
I think that's true.
So that was really cool. And then she sees me reading mm-hmm. a lot, and she knows.
That's huge.
Yeah, I think that's just modeling, and I'm not doing it to be like, look at me, I'm so cool, I'm reading. It's like I enjoy reading. She sees me enjoying books, and mm-hmm. we go to the library a lot, every other day. I have a huge book of that day.
Oh, yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's all I need to turn that over. And
from a couple days ago?
It's from, like, the weekend. So I'll bring home a fresh batch today. After mm-hmm. we are finished, I'm going to go to the library, and then she'll be busy for an hour. And so happy. And she's a really high energy, extroverted mm-hmm. kid. And that is like a rare moment of restoration mm-hmm. and just internalness for her, the reading.
Yeah.
So what books do we like to read? I can just say what we kind of are reading now. Mm-hmm. We've read all the Captain Underpants books. Those are really fun.
Are they graphic novels, or are they just illustrated chapter books?
Maybe they're a little bit in between.
Okay.
Because there's parts of them that are comic booky,
mm-hmm.
and then parts that read more just like a novel with spot illustrations.
Okay, yeah.
So it's like a hybrid thing. But I gotta say, I misjudged them. I thought they were just like crude potty humor. Well, and there is that, but they're really well written.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say, really.
So Captain
really
Underpants.
Really good. We're impressed. Well, and they're fun. Like Ivy loves them.
Do you think it's probably a good? I think I've heard by Dave Pilkey, right?
Yeah.
I've heard they're probably really good for those kids who just aren't interested super much in reading.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Because there's enough quality to them and enough humor to them. It's a good mix.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the reluctant reader set.
Yes.
I think that's true. So we've read the I'm looking over, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, a perennial favorite. We just read Ivy loves Halloween books any time of the year.
Uh-huh.
So we just read one called Trick or Treat.
Is it Pirates?
It's pirates. It's really, the rhyme scheme is really tight.
Oh, that's awesome.
We enjoyed that this week. She likes the Geronimo Stilton books.
My kids love Geronimo Stilton.
Yeah.
And I'm reading it, and they're fun. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, this font is different.
I kind of can't. If Ivy's like, please read this to me, I'm like, I'm sorry, I draw the line at Geronimo Stilton.
Because the letters, like the sentences, will be one, like all these words are in different fonts and they're decorative, and I like decorative lettering, just...
It's too many fonts.
It's a lot of
fonts. But yeah, she loves those. Mm-hmm. And then, I'm trying to think. I feel like we haven't been reading a ton of picture books lately. She's really into the, I know what we read that we loved was Baba Yaga's Assistant, which is, I don't know who the author is, but the illustrator is Emily Carroll, and she does a lot of like kind of dark fairy tale illustrations.
Is it Polacco or?
I don't even know.
Baba
Yaga, which is like the
grandma
figure from folklore.
Oh right.
So right. She lives in a house on chicken feet.
Lovely.
Yeah, I mean it's like, so the author didn't make up the character. It's
right.
Like drawing from the well.
Oh wait, Baba Yaga from like the Frog Bride. They talk about it.
Okay.
Baba Yaga in the Frog Bride.
There's a lot of Baba Yaga stories.
It's like a Russian.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
So it's just a retelling of that, Baba Yaga's Assistant. It's just really cool. So that was one we liked reading together, and Rapunzel's Revenge by Shannon Hale. And a bunch of Hales. It's all, everybody who worked in that book, their last name is Hale. It's maybe 3 people.
Oh, okay.
But
and that's a chapter book too?
It's a graphic novel.
Okay.
So it's Rapunzel, but she's just really a tough cookie.
Okay.
She gets out of the tower and goes on to, it's kind of like a Wild West sort of feel. Yeah. But, I mean, our favorite books are what we're reading now, and that's always changing.
What do you, I struggle with reading graphic novels out loud. How do you read them? Like, how do you get through them? I
just read them out loud, and then if she goes, "Where are you?" then I go, "Right here." Because I don't want to point. That's hard.
Yeah.
They are harder. They're more energy to read.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm like, pick a book, but not a graphic novel.
Mm-hmm.
But usually she's like maybe bouncing along with me.
Okay,
I don't know.
Good.
I don't know how it feels to be the listener of that.
But I've kind of gotten to that whole, I'm just going to read the words.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
right.
Okay, now I can read.
Maybe sometimes I just sort of intuitively do that. But yeah.
Okay. I'm glad to know that you read the same way I do.
But she's starting to read more on her own, like she's reading the Baby Mouse books. Those are especially hard to read for some reason. Maybe because the color, it's like black and white.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I get lost. I'm like, wait, where am I? But she's taking over.
Yeah.
Like, eventually she'll just be reading the graphic novels, and we can focus on novels.
Right.
Picture books.
Yeah. Even after she's reading fluently on her own, is it still going to be important for you to read with her?
I feel like that might be up to her.
Okay.
Like, let's say we get a book from the library. Like, if I want to read it to her, I want to read you, Harry Potter series. That feels fun to me. But if she's like, I just want to read it, I'm not going to force her. Like,
That's
reading
true.
is reading. I love being read to.
Mm-hmm, me too.
So, I mean, I would hope that she'd want to keep reading.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can trade off.
That would be cool.
That would be fun. Then it could be
like,
a win-win.
I love audiobooks because then at night we turn the lights off and everybody's in their bed and I'm laying down. I'm like, this is so wonderful.
That's a good tip.
Yes.
When I'm at the library today, I might pick up an audiobook because sometimes we listen. Sometimes I'm too tired to read a story. It's energy out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we look on YouTube and there are like read alouds.
Yep. When do you usually read together? Is it like is there a routine that you do?
At night, we read a book. Yeah, a book or two. And sometimes, like, reading a book, if we do it during the day, it'll be, like, after there's been a meltdown.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good reset button. Should
Yeah.
we read a book? So I feel like that has replaced the time out in a certain way. Like, we need to bring it back now. And let's just chill out and read a book. She's usually up for that. She's not up for, let's sit and take deep breaths or whatever. That doesn't work.
Right. Plus, you're connecting. You know, Mom still loves you, even if we've had this, you know, engagement that hasn't been super positive on your end. Yeah.
We're together, and yet we're departing this real world for a moment to go into the world of the story, and that's a relief.
Right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Where can we find your books? Anywhere books are sold?
Anywhere books are sold? No.
Okay.
They're not anywhere books are sold. That's the dream.
No.
So they are at, I always recommend the indie bookstores. Mm-hmm. So the Red Balloon carries all of my books, and
Wild Rumpus?
Wild Rumpus. Majors and Quinn should have them. If they don't, you can go to the desk and harass them about that. You can always
do that.
You can always order a book from any bookstore. Mm-hmm. It just then you have to wait and come back and whatever. So people don't. And then
does Addendum have them or not yet?
Yes, Addendum also has them. The Wee Hours might be hard to find because it's out of print.
Okay.
Now.
Okay.
But
you can also go. I was just gonna say you can go to the library. The Star of the North Awards.
No, I didn't win this.
I know you didn't win. But that doesn't mean anything.
Do you mean the Minnesota Book Award?
That's what I mean. Yes.
The Star of the North Award.
That's Molly Beth Griffin is what her wrote as Rock Hunt.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking of. But yes, the Minnesota Book Awards. No, you did not win, but you were nominated, and that's huge.
Yeah, that was very exciting to be.
And it was for Behold a Baby, right?
Mm-hmm. To be named a finalist and to go to the event and just be a part of it was really cool.
So how do they pick you? Like, how do they nominate you?
Well, you nominate yourself. So people are like, congratulations on being nominated. Thank you, I sent it in. For people who work in children's books that would be choosing from that pool the 4 finalists. And then I think...
And so you were one of the 4 finalists?
Yes.
See, that part's the cool... I'm trying to get you some props here.
Yeah,
it's very cool.
It is very cool. So
it's Michael Hall, Derek Anderson, you, and...
Mike Wanuka.
Yes, for Dad's First Day. Mm-hmm. Okay, yes.
Yeah, so that was awesome. And then I think there's maybe a separate... Either that same group or a separate group then picks the one winner out of the 4. I'm not exactly sure how it works. Okay. But yeah, it's a huge honor to be named, of course.
And where was the event held?
It's at the Depot in St. Paul.
It was at the Depot? Mm-hmm. That's Union Depot?
I think it's called Union Depot.
Because there's the Depot in Minneapolis.
Yeah, no, not there. So the Union Depot, the old train.
So
it starts with like a signing.
Okay.
Where, the finalists are all at tables out in the hall, and then the ceremony itself is kind of like the Oscars. Like, the nominees are blah, 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 and the winner is, there's an envelope and everything, and we're all looking, everybody's at tables.
Okay. And, there really needs to be, like, the red carpet.
Right, there's get on that.
I will.
They need, like, a PR person.
Paparazzi, getting it on the news, getting it on TV. And
well, it is on TV. It's on
PBS. Is it? Oh, is it?
Yeah, you can watch it. They replay it. You can watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure when exactly they play it, but I feel like I caught it.
Yeah,
okay.
okay.
I just are switching channels and I saw it on. But yeah, it's a great event, and the people who organize it, it's the Friends of the St. Paul Public Library.
Okay.
It's like they do an awesome job of pulling everything together.
Yeah, so it's a really special place to be.
It is. It's our Oscars.
Yeah.
The Oscars for our people.
For our people in Minnesota. It's only Minnesota authors, right?
And there were like, I think 900 people there in attendance.
Okay.
It was huge. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like their biggest event hall full of book nerds.
Well, thank you for letting me come and chat with you about this.
Thank you so much for having me on your show.
You're fantastic.